welcome everyone. So honored to be with you and your people, giving welcome to the earth and water and fire and air in the home place where you find yourselves, giving welcome and gratitude to your wise and well ancestors and your people and the ancestors of the place where you live and where that gave birth to you. And I'm giving gratitude to my own people that and the energies and those who bring us together today. It's a joy and an honor to be with you. So well met. Yeah. Thanks for reading my bio, Don. It's amazing to hear that read out loud. It's true, all of it. And yeah, what does that mean? Well, that's kind of what we're up to today, is to listen with the ears, not only of our bodies, but also with the ears of our hearts and the ears of this animal creature that we are, as well as the ears of this ancient being, this storyteller being that has made humans into the ones we are, we could say, this imaginal capacity to tell stories, and the way our very ears have been shaped by the songs and stories that we tell each other and we hear from the wild others. So Earth-Centric Storytelling is about cultivating the consciousness or shifting consciousness to be able to hear the stories that Earth is telling. We get kind of stuck sometimes in the human stories. And while those are so important to hold in our hearts and metabolize, there's something kind of essential, human making, actually, about shifting consciousness into this capacity to listen to the larger stories, the deep time stories, the stone people, the cyclical stories of the tree people, the nest building, egg laying stories of the bird people, the teeth ripping, fresh blood eating stories of the predators, the herd stories, the waking up and going to sleep together in the grass stories of the four-legged hoofed ones. So the capacity to remember how to listen in that way. Yeah. I'm a person who pauses a lot. I talk a lot, but I also pause a lot because I want to make sure that I'm listening to exactly those kinds of stories, right? That I give space to the holy, that I give space to the unseen, that I give space to the wild ones, so that, I'm not the one telling the stories, but actually I'm receiving what wants to be spoken. So I invite you to participate with me in that when I might pause, you might also pause and tune your ears to the web of life, to the larger context. Yeah. I want to say something about stories in and of themselves. So as I named already, humans are a storytelling species. And we carry traditions and we carry memory and we carry warning and magic and maps of initiation and also maps, very, very literally maps of place are carried in stories. And I experience and believe that stories are born out of a particular place on the earth, through a particular soul of a people in reciprocal relationship with each other. So all the stories that we tell, the old stories, the big stories, even the fairy tales, are born in a particular place and come through the listening hearts and souls of the people who are in deep reciprocal relationship. And because that's the case, in my experience, when we remember how to tell stories in that way, we also ignite that remembering of our original instructions for being humans, that we enter into just by telling the story, a reciprocal relationship with Earth, right? That it becomes offering, and it also becomes receiving. The speaking is a receiving from Earth and an offering to Earth. Like, I'm listening, right? I'm listening. And so tonight, there are going to be 3 different kinds of storytelling opportunities that I'll bring us through. It's going to be an experiential kind of thing. I'm not going to talk for the next 2 hours and give you a lecture. Ha ha. Of course, it's all voluntary, it's all an invitation to participation. But I hope that you'll say yes, because the putting our bodies and putting our hearts and putting our souls and spirits into this kind of sacred container, this kind of ritual container, has a real power, right? We create a field together, even though we're all over the world. We create a relational field through this very strange magical tool called Zoom. It's a portal, between worlds. We're literally sitting at a portal between worlds and looking into the worlds, each other's worlds, right? And so this is a world making kind of activity that we're up to here. It's a world creation. So what's said here is a spell and a dream and an intention for the world that we're all praying for, jumping up and living again, to quote Martin Prichtel. So there'll be 3 different experiences I'll guide us through, invite us into. And they're all held in ways of consciousness shifting. So we could say 3 different ways of shifting consciousness, from human-centric to Earth-centric, right? That way of listening with those ears that can hear the web, which we do every night when we dream, for example, right? Which we do when we go out into the wild and are taking a walk, and listening to the birds singing or the flowers blooming. It's what we do when we sit in deep connection with people we love, humans that we love, or 4-leggeds or other creatures that live with us, that we're in deep relationship with, right? So that heart door opens and shifts consciousness. And so here's 3 more ways that you might discover this evening, and they might be really familiar to you already, these ways of shifting consciousness. In some way, they're a reminding, because this is very old technology. There's nothing new about it. Yeah. So I'm just going to check the time. Okay, great. Okay, so this first invitation is we're going to enter into a movement process. Whether you're a dancer or not, you're a mover. We walk, we run, we climb upstairs, we sit down, we get up. So we're all movers. And so I invite you to move into a movement practice, and to fully embody and inhabit the full range of motion that you have with your body. So as we get going here, I'm going to invite you to stand. I'm going to invite you to make sure your space is safe for you to move in. Even if you only have a small amount of floor space, I still am going to invite you to use your whole range of motion, if you would. That in and of itself can be really shifting, really altering. We spend so much time in this position, or this position, Okay. So we're going to move into a movement exploration and embodiment practice in the 4 directions. And these 4 directions are the 4 windows of knowing. This is one of the most powerful practices we can do for shifting consciousness, both when we find ourselves to be activated or dysregulated or jangly or wobbly in some way. This is a really beautiful practice to bring in. You can do it on your own. You can do it in your groups. You can do it in your organizations. And it's something that is accessible to everybody, right? So we move through these 4 directions. We enter in the east, which is the sensing, the bodily senses, 5 of them, plus the 6th sense of energetic sensing. Then we move into the south, which in our power over paradigm, in our culture of modernity, can feel threatening because it's about fully feeling our emotions, all of them, right? But this invitation is a way of actually very responsibly and powerfully letting those emotions move through and not putting them into action outward, right? But really letting them be in the full expression of the body and the voice. And then we move into the West, and the West is the window of knowing, of the imagination. So this is the window of the storyteller, of the muse, of the creative one of us, the dreamer of us, both the night dreams, the daydreams, the visions, right? This imaginal capacity of us humans. And then we'll move into the North, which is heart-centered perception. The heart is an organ of perception, and it invites the mind to participate, but it's centered in the heart. And this is where we will, for this evening or this day, this gathering, we will invite the inner storyteller to awaken when we arrive in the North, in the heart. And then after this movement practice, Dawn will have lovingly prepared breakout rooms for everybody. There'll be 3 people per breakout room. And then you'll go into a breakout room and each person will have 5 minutes-ish, 4.5, 5 minutes, to share a story from the seat of the inner storyteller of an encounter with a wild being that you've had recently, or with a wild place. So you could start with once upon a time, and then tell the story of yesterday when you met the most amazing raven. You've had the most amazing raven encounter of your entire life. Or you might decide to tell it in the present. Not I was, but I am. Oh, that's shifting, right? And suddenly we're all in the story with you. It's happening right now. So those are just 2 ideas, but really it's up to you. However your muse and your inner storyteller want to speak. Just simply telling the story with your senses open, your emotions open, your imagination open, sharing from the heart. Yeah. Okay, are there questions before we move into the process? Great. All right. And I'll speak a little bit during the movement, and I'll also shut up a little bit so that you have time to be with yourself and not have to listen to me. We've worked to try and get the music at a good level for my voice that you'll still be able to hear me. Feel free, obviously, to raise or lower your volume on your computer if you need the music louder, and do give us a sign, like a point like this if you can't hear my voice. Come to the camera and do this. Otherwise, feel free to not be on camera, whatever feels good to you. And stand up and find yourself a good place to move in. Clarity around the length of this gathering. The gathering is 2 hours long, Marianne. And this particular process will be about 15-ish minutes long.
All right. Are we ready for the music?
We are.
Okay. And we're doing stars?
Yes, please.
All right.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So as the music is starting, everybody, just again, inviting you to make sure your space is safe for you to move in. You might take a few deep breaths. You might stretch a little bit, move the body. Check out your range of motion, how big, how high, how wide you can move your arms, how your legs are bending. You might lift your legs, check out your hips here and your knees for their range of motion, just kind of arriving in the body. Hi, body. Oh, here's my body. Welcome, body. Oh, it's good to be with you. Thank you. Okay. Oh, taking a few deep breaths in here and beginning to softly move this body, awaken the mover, seeing how all of your joints participate in the movement, moving your wrists and your fingers, elbows and your shoulders, your ribs, hips, knees and ankles, letting movement happen. And while this movement is happening, you're noticing how this feels, the sensation, the physical sensation of moving, places of tension or capacity, just noticing, oh, this is how it feels. This inner touch, feeling the sensation of inner touch, proprioception, interoception. The way the body moves in space and the way the body feels inside itself. This is the sensation of touch. You might even take your hands to your belly or your chest or your arms and physically touch your body as we enter in the doorway of the senses in the east. Touch. Hello, body. Breathing. And as you're breathing, you might notice as the air is moving in and out of your nose if there's any smells on the wind. As you touch your body, feel your body moving, smell. Of course, you're listening to the music, you're hearing the music, and you might hear other sounds as your ears awaken. Sense of hearing, touch, smell, hearing. You might notice a sound coming from your own mouth. A sigh on the exhale. Shake. You might want to shake the body, moving the body in any way the body wants to move. Whatever feels good. Dynamic or soft. Hearing the sound of your own voice. Now, you might make a smacking noise with your lips and your tongue. You might notice how the air tastes. You might lick the back of your hand and notice how your own skin tastes. Inviting the sense of taste to awaken. As you keep moving. And now inviting the eyes. You might play here with a focused gaze and a soft gaze, peripheral gaze. How do the eyes want to be present here? Focused. Try that out. See something specific and particular. Notice its color and uniqueness. Now letting the eyes go soft and opening the peripheral vision, taking in the whole space where you find yourself. Oh, here's the orienting yourself in this place where you are. You can even put your arms out to the side and notice where do you see your fingers at the peripheral vision? How close to them? And with this kind of orienting, openness, starting also now to vibe energy, also to come in this open, soft awareness. We have another minute of moving around your all. What does this taste like? What is this? If I come up close, being curious. All of your senses open. Feeling the body moving, noticing the sensation of the physical body as this next piece of music starts. Continuing to move. This one will be a bit more dynamic. So inviting you to be in the physical goodness, this animal creature body awaken. And as you're physically feeling this body, you might notice many ways that emotion. Maybe there's things with you all day. Maybe something new is coming up now as you're arriving more fully in this body. Letting any emotions be present and let them move your body. Let emotion, motion bring you into movement. The motions of your body. Better? Can you hear me better? Yeah. All right. Letting the motions moving through your body. Heat. Sadness move you. Joy. Let anger move you. Let anything that wants to come move through your body. Physical body. Revealing to you. To use. Remember to use your whole range of motion. The arms, hips, knees, moving around your Now go on. Beautiful. And also here, letting your voice through. Oh. How does grief or anger or joy sound coming from this fully feeling body? Oh. Now moving to the west with our next song, with our next piece of music. Continuing to let emotions move through, continuing to let your senses be open. We're inviting now the window of the imagination to open. This is the window of dream and vision, daydream, creativity, where we can perceive and be in conversation with all of the imaginal beings who are also real, seen with other eyes, heart, dream eyes. Might find yourself moving through a forest right now, walking along the ocean coast. You might find yourself at a lake, or you might find yourself swimming, or at the top of a volcano that is about to erupt. Where do you find yourself originally? Your body is moving, senses open, heart and emotions opening the window of So opening the window of imagination. Letting your imagination go wild, literally. Find yourself in a wild place. A dreamscape. A forest, a meadow. Maybe you turn into an animal, you shapeshift as you're moving, or you turn into the ocean, or a dolphin in the waters. What might your imagination invite you into as this body is moving? See if you might open your senses in this imaginal world. Perhaps there's emotion flowing through you. Okay, and as this last piece of music begins, gathering the threads of our sensing body, our feeling emotional body, and our imaginal body, we're awakening and calling to our inner storyteller through our bodies. Come, you inner storyteller, you part of me who has lived within me always, ancient one. Come, awaken, reveal yourself to me through my body, through my imagination, my emotions, and my senses. Come. You are welcome. You are welcome with me, inner storyteller. Dancing your welcome of this one, this inner storyteller of you who's living in your heart, in your mind, in your body, in your emotions and your senses. The one who perceives the world through the heart, who understands the language of the wild ones, who listens to the web of life and hears the songs being sung, the stories being told. Welcome you, inner storyteller. Awaken in my heart, in my body, in my emotions. Come alive. And when this one arrives, you might feel or see or notice how they're dressed or how they move. You might move your own body as this one. You might hear their voice sounding out of your mouth. Welcome. Welcome. In your imagination, them really coming fully into expression, into life. And if it feels right to do so, inviting them to either you to step into their worldview, their being, their body, or them into yours. But if you might, for this time, fully becoming this inner storyteller of your own being, fully shifting into this one's consciousness, opening the heart ears, the heart eyes of the inner storyteller. And as you find your way back, staying really close and alive in this expression and experience as the inner storyteller, you're going to be brought to your magical group of 3. And each person will have 4.5 minutes. We'll keep time for you. We'll let you know when to switch. It'll be 15 minutes total, but stay right close. And you're going to be sharing a story of an encounter with a wild one or a wild place as your inner storyteller. I would love just for like a few moments here, a harvest of like dropping. Is there a particular image that you heard? A particular, like not a whole story, but just like, oh, one little image or one little something to just drop into our cauldron here, our brew pot of beauty. Yeah, go ahead. Just Belinda, go for it.
I'm muted. Intersecting pathways.
Mm. Mm. Who else? Just, be brave, unmute yourself and speak.
Finding a quiet spot in the grasses.
We walk into this light.
You never know what you'll invite into your garden when you rewild it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and some people have written a deer flapping its ears and bounding away. The hawk turned and looked at me. Mm. Mm.
The connection between a plant and an insect.
Mm. A pair of owls at sunset. Thanks, Jill. So we're doing something right now called feeding the stories. And I do this in the flow. Thank you. I do this when I tell stories. I'll be telling a story on August 20th for Starter Culture. And after I tell the story, we spend time feeding the story by doing just like this, the beauty of a wasp's nest. Yeah, the moments that touch us, calling them back out like an echo to feed the being of the story. Dark, mysterious eyes, a beautiful barn owl. Way. Okay. Yum. All right. So that was number one. Here's number two. Number two way of shifting consciousness. We're going to do something now all together, which is I've been thinking a lot about, some people say we need a new story. And that might be true on certain levels, but I'm kind of interested in telling the truth about the story we're in right now. And of course, that's a whole nother question of what's the truth. And then there's also when we're telling stories, the stories, as I named earlier, are these kinds of map creatures, these living creatures that change as they're carried nomadically with cultures and peoples. And every storyteller, catches the story and speaks it in a slightly different way, or sometimes a radically different way. And we can also excavate. We can be like story archaeologists, and we can remove the dust and the detritus and the concrete and the high rises and the pavement from stories, and begin to hear the older story that is singing through, maybe pre-industrial or anyway pre-modern consciousness story, right? And so that's the practice I'm going to invite us into. I was just talking with Don about Rob Hopkins' new book. What's it called? The Future, something with the future. How to fall in love with the future.
With the future.
Yeah. How to fall in love with the future. And Don was saying, in like imaginally casting our anchor into the future. I mean, that's my words, not his words, but casting ourselves into the future and listening to what the stories of the future might be. And so this is sort of in the opposite direction. Can we cast back ancestrally to place and through our ancestors in the dreaming, and catch the stories before colonization, or before Christianization, before all the things that have gotten us into such a exquisite, beautiful, perfect mess, which may or may not be. This is my current story. The true story that I'm telling is that these times are a collective initiation for our species, and that this crisis is the death of the old life and the old story and the old way of being in the world, which is necessary for all transformations and all initiatory journeys. So that's the truest story I can tell right now about what's up. The second truest story is it'll probably take 500 years till we get through it. I don't like that story as much, but I think it's true. Okay. So we're going to tell the story. Does everybody know the story of Red Riding Hood? Some version of it? Yeah. Does anybody not know the story of Red Riding Hood? Great. Okay. So we're going to tell what really happened. Red Riding Hood, what really happened. And we're going to listen in with these ears of the inner storyteller that we've just awakened, and this perception of the heart of the inner storyteller. And we're going to become storyteller archaeologists, and we're going to listen to the songs and the stories of the web of life, of the forest through which Red Riding Hood walked, of the wolf and his people, of the traditions of what it means to wear a red cap, and being on the journey of transformation, potentially initiation, right? So we're going to listen with these other ears and eyes, which I'm going to invite us into a process for in the moment. And after that, we're going to do a collective telling of Red Riding Hood, for which we'll have about 15 minutes. And so, and again, it's going to be this thing of like, you're just going to turn on your microphone and speak because you have the next line. Like it comes and you have this intuitive, imaginal sensing, knowing in the body. or in the heart, I have the next line. And then you speak the next line, and then you turn off your mic, and then the next person knows, I have the next line. And then you speak the next line. Okay. And we'll see what happens first. We might never get to the end of the story because there might never actually be an end, but we'll tell it for 15 minutes. Okay. So, here we go. So as the inner storyteller of you, again, arriving in the body, arriving in the heart, arriving in the consciousness, awakening, refreshing the consciousness of the inner storyteller. You might notice there's a movement or a sound that helps you do that, a way of a posture or a gesture, a way of being. But inviting this one again, refreshing this inner storyteller consciousness. And I want to invite you here, the inner storyteller of you, to bring you to an old, old village. It might be an ancestral village of your people. It might be a different kind of village. It might be a place you've been in waking world. It might be a place you've been in dream world. But inviting the inner storyteller to bring you to a village at the edge of a forest. And opening your senses. Maybe you're not one who sees with eyes imaginally, but you might see with a knowing in the body, or smelling, or hearing, whatever your sensory capacity here is in the imaginal. Just letting yourself really arrive in this village that the storyteller has brought you to. See the houses, or notice the houses and the space between them. Notice the way they stand there, those structures where people live. And notice the people that live there. How they're dressed, what their clothing is like, what it's made of, what its color is. What do they have on their feet? How are they connected with the earth? Are they wearing something on their heads? There's this traditional way of dress of these people. You might notice a particular smell in this place. Human smells or wild smells, animal smells. How does this place smell? This village at the edge of the forest. And how does it sound? Which creatures can you hear? Which voices? Birds, for example, or domestic animals, animals, humans. Sounds of this place. And what do you notice in the energy of this place, the vibe? Friendly, warm, cold? What's the vibe here of the people and of the place? And expanding out from the human, what's the energy and the wideness and the larger context, the larger area that you're in here? what's happening with the trees, the forest, what kind of forest? Which is to say, don't think about the names of what kinds of trees, but rather notice the tree, or notice ground, notice grass, if there is, or flowers. Notice the feeling, sensing, smelling of this forest that is at the edge of the village. And if you might, with this inner storyteller heart perception, feel the creatures and the beings, all the kinds of people, the tree people and the bush people and the bird people and the four-legged people, all the people that are not human, that live in the forest. You might even feel the unseen spirits of the forest. And you might feel the relationship between those ones, the seen and the unseen, the wild and the unseen forest ones with the humans. And in this world, this village at the edge of the forest world, with all of these beings, there's one particular family. And in this family, there's one particular girl, maybe. Notice how old she is. Notice how she looks. Notice this one particular family. There are many families in this village, and this story is about one particular one, but could be about anyone. But it's about this particular one. And this particular one, this family has a grandmother who lives somewhere in that forest. And this particular girl, maiden, young woman, whoever she is, this one is preparing to go on a journey, to go visit her grandmother in the forest. Can you feel that? Preparing to go on a journey in your being. Can you feel the emotion there of what that feels like in your heart and in your body as you're packing up, getting ready to go? And can you feel the forest and the grandmother? And remember, there's wolves in the forest. Okay, so that is how we begin. There's a girl getting ready to go on a journey to her grandmother's house through the forest. And I'm going to say the magic words, and then somebody will continue. And the magic words are once upon a time. Okay.
The rain fell soft on the ground. 'Ground. 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 ' And even though the ground was wet, there was not enough water anywhere.
The young maiden knew that in her preparations, she needed to bring more than one flask. And so across her shoulders, she strung 3 flasks made of goat hide to take with her across the dry land and through the crackling forest.
Mm.
The basket was filled with the bounty of the sea, and would come back filled with the bounty of the forest, herbs and mushrooms and medicines.
She looked at the knife that her mother gave her. How would she use it?
In her other pocket, she had a small doll that her father had given her. Strange, a knife from her mother and a doll from her father. But nevertheless, she trusted these tools.
And it was the jungle, the forest was a jungle. And in the jungle were lots of snakes and spiders and beetles and things that would harm her.
Or so she had been led to believe, but deep within her, she knew otherwise, because these were all aspects of her grandmother. The forest, the beach, the sea, all of these different elements around her, they were all her grandmother that she was to meet and journey to.
And her mother said to her before she left, "You can only cut one thing with this knife."
With the buzzing sounds of the insects and the chirping of the birds, she stepped off her familiar path into the jungle, and the sound of the ocean waves receded. Every hair on the back of her neck tingled as she knew she was going where she had never been before.
This was a tingle of excitement. Things new, things unknown. But she knew there would be a safe place at the end of the journey.
In her grandmother's arms. Even though she had not walked this path before, so many young women had walked it before her. And she had that knowledge tucked away in her heart.
In honor of her grandmother, she wore her specially made nettle dress and her very special red cape, red being dye of ochre and so special to her village. It signified the special journey she was on.
She was walking with the wisdom of her ancestors and the guidance of all the invisible ones that live in the jungle.
And yet there was an element of uncertainty, an element of expectation, an element of fear. Somehow she knew there was more than one way to go through this forest, more than one path she could take. And how would she decide? And what stumbling blocks, what crossroads, what creatures might she meet that might direct her path?
The grass crackled underneath her feet as she reached that very crossroad, and standing before her was a tall, elegant figure. Not quite human, not quite wolf, not quite snake, but not quite anything she had ever seen before. As she stopped and pulled her cloak around her, the tall, elegant figure stooped and scurried away on all fours, and she followed it.
As she was walking behind the being, lots of little voices were running beside her, swooshing in the air, running on the ground, invisible beings with their voices laughing while she was walking.
Her hand in her pocket and felt the doll. She put her hand in her pocket and felt the knife. The doll or the knife? Her hand instinctively picked the knife out of the pocket, and as she did, she cut her fingers, and fresh red blood gently seared into her cloak.
At that very moment, her ears expanded 10,000-fold. And all the little voices that she just barely heard began to speak up. And that, my friends, is an invitation to join the storytelling. If you have been so quiet and listening, you need to hear my voice.
Don't go that way, don't go that way, squealed the little voices. Come with us, take the other path. The doll, the knife, what was that knife for? The doll, the knife, she began to feel so confused. She could see the figure way up ahead of her, beckoning, calling. Which way to go? The little voices saying, come with us, singing like bees around her head, buzzing, buzzing, buzzing.
There were gaps in the dark of the forest up ahead. There was sunlight coming through in spaces where there should be trees.
And everywhere that her blood dropped, a plant suddenly grew up. Beautiful white scented flowers and beautiful blue blossom.
That was when the strange figure, tall, not quite serpent, not quite wolf, not quite man, ahead of her, stopped. His body slumped a little, as if he was getting into his haunches. He turned around and started to sniff, and those beautiful white flowers that had grown out of the blood drops, well, he nibbled on one or two of them, and he turned and he winked at her, and he said, this way, dearie, there are two paths. The path of
Growing towards yourself, or
Running away.
And losing your head.
and falling into forgetfulness.
Touching the knife and the little doll in each of her pockets. She knew she wanted to do both. And so instead she froze. And in that stillness, she thought, perhaps I should sit. Perhaps I should sit and think a while. And so, in fact, she lost her head and slumped down into the ground in her body.
And a whole feeling came upon her. A feeling at once ancient and new, a feeling that she had never felt yet before, not at home, not with her mother, although it reminded her of her mother. This feeling was both future and present and cobwebby past. Was it her grandmother?
She felt tired, her bones heavy, and she felt sleepy. And her eyes started closing heavy. And there was a silence in the woods or the jungle.
And as she dreamed and dozed, gentle, calm, there was then a whisper in her ear. I'm here with you. What do you want to do?
My body's on the in the ground and my head is on the floor. What can I do?
It's when
Hold. Hold my hand. Hold my hand. And I will lift you. And we can go together. And she suddenly felt her body lighten.
The wolf, serpent, man figure was nowhere to be seen, though there was a strange, rank smell in the air. But still, there on the forest trail were tracks. Tracks. 4 of them, certainly, back ones and forward ones, and she could see that they led not on the main path, but a little to the left, deeper into the forest. And so she
took a step along that knife edge path. And as she did, she noticed her own foot becoming paw, and her own paw becoming hairy, and her own being beginning to shapeshift. But the rest, my dear friends, is the story for another time. Mm. 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 Can we just drink that in and rub it into our armpits and hearts and bellies and just, oh, yum. Slurp up the goodness of that, please. Oh, don't ever forget that. Don't ever forget that. Mm. Please choose the path of remembering. Generally, for the rest of your life, please choose the path of remembering. Okay, excuse me for the blanket statement. I couldn't resist. It's dangerous business, falling in love and risking intimacy with the world. Yum. Thank you all for that feast. Okay. so now we have our third as dessert. We have dessert. And dessert is much shorter than I was hoping we would have time for. But dessert is now the third, the third way of shifting consciousness. And so after this delicious and exquisite feast, I want to invite you again to listen in to the heart. But this time, I want to invite you to turn the ears of your heart inward and listen to the edge of your own aliveness. Listen in to that place where the trembling happens, where the growing edge is to be found, where the ecotone of the present and the future, of the known and the unknown, meeting, as two ecosystems meeting in this place where the most creativity and aliveness might be born out of you, and where your own desire for that taste, for that creativity, for that aliveness meets the desire of the world for your aliveness. If you might listen to that place where your desire, your aliveness meets the desire of the world for your taste, your smell, your body, your gifts, your heart, your deep knowing. And out of this place, I'm going to be quiet now, and out of this place might come one line, the finest, truest words you can speak right now. And they're perfect, whatever they are. There's no right way. There's your way. One line of beauty here at this aliveness, here at this emerging edge of beauty that is you. And this space now, I'm actually going to ask us to turn off the recording so that everybody can turn on their video cameras, if that's okay. So those of you who would wish to turn off your video, please do so, of course. Yeah. So inviting what you have received here, what you've taken with you, as I was just saying, this inner storyteller who can listen inwards to the place of your own becoming, the place of your own aliveness, where your desire and the world's desire meet, where your way of loving is called forth into the world, where the stories that you tell are ones that are healing or regenerating or imaginally potent. Practicing this, a skill from speaking from that place, that the inner storyteller might listen in and then speak out into the world. Practicing being in that place of emergence, of aliveness when you speak. I want to invite you all out into the wild world or the wildish world, depending on where you live, and speak with a other than human from this place. Practice speaking with other than humans from this place. It's usually safer for most of us to practice that in a wild place. And you might, for example, speak of what your deepest longing is. Or you might tell the truest story of now. It might be the truest story of now that you know about your own inner transformation, or it might be the truest story of now you know about the edge of growing and transformation in the groups or communities that you're in. It might be the truth telling you need to tell some humans that you would bring back with you as medicine. which sometimes can be edgy and feel like poison. You might need to show your teeth. Or you might need to tell yourself the truth about what it is you need to let go of completely, or what you need to lay down, or what you're keeping yourself from speaking and saying, or singing into being. But the first invitation is really, before going to the humans, to bring out into the wild this one who knows how to listen to the voices of the wild ones and your own inner place of emergence, and be found by, called by the place, the actual physical place where the desire of the beings there and your longing meet, and speaking your whatever it is that needs to be spoken from that place, that story. And then when you know how to do that, when you know how to shift consciousness in that way, when you know how to listen in that way, when you know how to speak in that way, then I invite you all to do the hard thing, the trembling thing, the thing that all of our inner protectors don't want us to do, and speak with that kind of loving from that place to the humans in the world around you. Want to thank the most ancient ancestors, the earth, the water, the fire, and the air, for holding us in this circle this evening. I want to give my gratitude and honor to your wise and well ancestors, your people, and the people of the place where you live. I want to honor my people and your people for bringing us together this evening to create this circle in this way and speak these words that were spoken that would not have happened if a single one of you was not here. Everything that has brought you to this place in this time was necessary. And I bless and I give gratitude for all of the things that each of us have experienced and loved and lost and honored in our lives, so that we could be at the edge of our own becoming together in this place of magic and vulnerability. Been a deep, deep honor to be with you for these 2 short hours. These time bending feels like an eternity, 2 hours. Thank you for traveling with me in the worlds and lands of Once Upon a Time, and in the deep time of the truth of this moment. Yeah.